Hi, I'm Sheila McAlister. I'm the director of the Digital Library of Georgia. And with me today is Ed Hatfield, who is the managing editor for the New Georgia Encyclopedia. And today we're here to talk to you about the Encyclopedia and the Digital Library of Georgia websites. So take it away, Ed. Ed, your mic is still.
Oh,
There
thank
we
you.
go.
Thanks so much for that note and for your introduction. Bear with me one moment while I figure out how to share my screen. Okay. Okay, can everybody hear me okay? And can you see the opening slide, K-12 Showcase?
I'm not seeing it, Ed.
Okay.
How about, do you want to switch up the order while you figure out?
Sure. Well, let me see if removing the camera will help. Give me one moment. I'm going to share again. Thanks for bearing with us, folks. Apologies for these difficulties. Is it any better now?
Perfect.
Okay, terrific. Right. Thank you, folks, for your patience while we worked out those details. So as Sheila mentioned, we'll be talking today about educator resources on at both the Digital Library of Georgia and the New Georgia Encyclopedia. My name is Ed Hatfield. I'm the NGE's managing editor, and I'm really pleased to be with you today and appreciate you taking the time from your busy schedules to learn more about our projects. They really are complementary resources, peas and carrots in a lot of ways, and we appreciate the opportunity to take part in today's webinar. In just a moment, we'll take a closer look at some of the NGE's educator resources, but first I thought I would say a few words about the encyclopedia itself for folks in the audience who may be less familiar with the project. So first, what is the NGE? Well, in the main, it's a collection of entries and media items. We have more than 2,400 entries and counting on all things Georgia, from history and literature to science and business, sports, foodways, folkways, and more. These entries are illustrated by more than 5,600 media items, including photographs, such as the one you see here, courtesy of Vanishing Georgia, as well as maps, etchings, paintings, and more. Our media items are provided by a network of media partners that includes prominent publications such as the AJC and leading research libraries at the University of Georgia, Georgia State University, the Georgia Archives, and other repositories statewide. So we're often asked at the NGE what separates our content from other online publications. And the answer we give is that our content is authoritative. Our articles are written by scholars. They undergo a process of peer review. They're scrupulously fact-checked by reference librarians at the University of Georgia and are continuously updated by staff members, all of which makes the NGE a reliable resource, not just for educators, but also for journalists, for researchers, and for anyone who wishes to know more about our state and its history. Hard as it is to believe, the NGE will soon celebrate its 20th anniversary. It debuted in 2004. As you can see from the early screenshot of the first iteration of the NGE, it was very much a creature of the old web. It was the nation's first born digital state encyclopedia, meaning that it was the first to be conceived and designed exclusively for publication online. The project underwent its first major redesign in 2013, and it underwent a second redesign more recently in 2021. The new site has received multiple awards and it's been a joy to use. So if you haven't visited in some time, please do check us out, pay us a visit, and explore the new digs. And finally, I would be remiss if I didn't say a few words about our partner organizations. Since its inception, the NGE has enjoyed ongoing support from four primary partners: the University of Georgia Press, Georgia Humanities, Galileo, and University of Georgia Libraries. Each of our partners brings a particular expertise to bear on the Encyclopedia, and all have been integral to its long-term success. And now for the fun part, let's explore some of the NGE's offerings. If we had just a little bit more time, we could provide a full tour of the Encyclopedia, but instead we'll just use the homepage to note a few points of departure. When the project first launched, there was an expectation that readers would regularly browse its contents, much like reading a book. In fact, our analytics tell us that most users access the NGE content exactly as you might suspect these days, via Google. Nevertheless, if you're at all inclined to do so, I would recommend spending a little bit of time browsing the NGE's topical categories, as that's the best way to get a feel for the breadth of its coverage. The same Browse tab will also provide access to curated media and content collections, which we can say more about if time allows. To the right of the Browse tab, you'll find our exhibitions. These are generously illustrated long-form stories that take deeper dives into various topics from Georgia history. They were originally mounted as physical exhibits at UGA's Special Collections Library and later adapted for publication online. And finally, to the right of exhibitions, you'll find our educators page where we'll head next. The NGE's educator resources include worksheets designed for classroom use, quizzes to test your knowledge of Georgia's history, and a selection of links to vetted materials including primary resource collections and other supplementary resources. But the centerpiece of the educators page is the alignment of NGE content with the Georgia Standards of Excellence. You can search for a specific standard by entering a GSE identifier into the search field that you see to the right of your screen, or you can browse all of the state standards associated with a course, as we'll do here for Georgia Studies. After providing a brief introduction of the course, the Georgia Studies landing page provides access to the full run of standards, including historical, geographic, civic, and economic understandings. And for today's example, we'll take a closer look at SS 8H9, which considers Georgia's role in the Second World War. As you can see, the left side of the header details the learning objectives as drafted in the Georgia Standards of Excellence. And the right side includes a list of NGE entries that relate to those objectives. Those same entries are visible beneath the fold as clickable thumbnails. Here we'll select Bell Bond. You can see that the article's author, Dr. Tom Scott, now Professor Emeritus at Kennesaw State University, appears to the left of the screen, just beneath the title. Tom is the state's leading authority on all things Cobb County, and folks on today's call may be familiar with his work. Certainly, if you're an educator in Cobb County, you may. In the Bell Bomber entry, Dr. Scott describes how local boosters lobbied federal officials to site the plant in the county. He describes the transformative effect it had on Cobb, then a largely underdeveloped rural county, and how the plant's subsequent redevelopment by the Lockheed Corporation gave Georgia a valuable foothold in the burgeoning post-war aeronautics industry. Like all NGE entries, the article provides a feedback portal visible in the upper right corner. I should say here that we receive regular feedback from our users and make changes to articles on a regular basis as a result. If folks in the call should ever find that an article is in any way wanting or would benefit from additional detail or additional context, we hope you'll click on the feedback option and let us know. To the left of the feedback button is a citation manager that provides citations in Chicago, MLA, and APA formats. And to the left of that is a media button that provides a link to media resources, which we'll take a quick look at now. Now, when the site was redesigned in 2021, we replaced or retired thousands of low-res images that dated from the project's inception. The result is a collection of high-resolution images rendered in vivid detail. In addition to providing a caption, images on the NGE provide collection-level information furnished by our media partners, and where possible, they also provide a link allowing users to view the image on our partner's website, as in this image of the facility's groundbreaking, which was provided by the Georgia Archives. And if you click on that link, you'll be taken outside of the NGE, in this case, to the Georgia Archives Virtual Vault, where you'll find additional information both about the image and the collection to which it belongs. So I'm almost finished with my part of the program, but before I pass to Mike Sheila, I would like to highlight a few new features that may be of interest. The first is the NGE's Topic Explorer. The Topic Explorer was initially developed as a resource for students participating in Georgia's National History Day, and it's been hosted for a few years now on the website over at Georgia Humanities. We recently modified its design, added additional topics, and after a few final tweaks, we plan to make it accessible via the NGE's Educator Resource page. As you can see, it consists of a handful of different topical categories, including business and commerce, literature and media, history and advocacy, events, groups, and people. For today's presentation, we're going to take a quick look at a few of the selections that are included on the groups page. The full list, if you could see it, includes a larger number of profiles that explore advocacy organizations, musical groups, labor unions, and more. But the two you their profile first, the Freedom Singers, an Albany-based folk quartet that toured the country in support of civil rights, and second, the Geechee and Gullah communities of Georgia's Sea Islands. In addition to providing access to the NG's topical entry, as seen here, they also provide access to a host of resources made available by the Digital Library of Georgia, as seen here. So if your students are ever struggling to settle on a research topic, or perhaps you would just prefer for them to select from a vetted menu of options, the Topic Explorer could provide a very useful tool. And finally, a quick word about the NGE's newest partner, Newsela. Newsela is an educational startup that provides access to leveled educational materials suitable for multiple reading levels. Newsela partners with dozens of prominent media outlets, including the New York Times, the Washington Post, and the PBS NewsHour. And they recently debuted a side of material focused on Georgia's history that includes, as its centerpiece, dozens of entries from the NGE. In addition to providing access to NGE entries that have been leveled for 12th, 9th, 6th, and 3rd grade reading levels, they also provide a range of supplementary materials for classroom use. So if you've ever thought that the NGE provided helpful content, but worried that it might not be appropriate for readers at all grades level, you might be interested in taking a closer look at what Newsela has to offer. I should mention here, however, that there's a subscription-based service, so you may need to visit their website to learn if it's available in your district. And that concludes my portion of the program, and so it's now my pleasure to pass the mic over to Sheila, who will share more about the great resources on offer at the DLG.
All righty. Hi, everybody. I'm Sheila McAlister. I'm the director of the Digital Library of Georgia. And to get started today, I'm going to give you a little background about the Digital Library of Georgia. And then we'll talk about searching, how to search our different portals. And then finally, we'll end up by talking about some educator content that you as educators might be particularly interested in. All right. So the Digital Library of Georgia, or what you'll hear me refer to as DLG, serves as Georgia's statewide cultural heritage digitization initiative. It's a joint project between the University of Georgia Libraries and Galileo. DLG collaborates with Georgia's cultural heritage and educational institutions to provide free online access to historic resources on the state of Georgia. The DLG not only develops, maintains, and preserves these digital collections, but it also partners to build digitization capacity and technical infrastructure. It acts as a service hub for the state of Georgia to the Digital Public Library of America, and we help facilitate cooperative digitization projects. We also serve as the home of the Georgia Newspaper Project, which is Georgia's print journalism preservation project. DLG itself supports 3 different portals, what we call the Georgia portal, or you may just call DLG, the Civil Rights Digital Library, which is a nationwide project, and then our super popular Georgia Historic Newspapers website. As aggregators, we bring together primary source content from cultural heritage institutions from all over the state, and that includes municipal archives, public libraries, historical societies, religious archives, state agencies, colleges and universities, and the list goes on. Really, our primary Georgia site you can think of as your one-stop shop for anything related to primary sources in the state of Georgia. We also have closer relationships with Galileo, Georgia Public Library Service, the Georgia Humanities Council, and the Georgia Council for the Arts. So what kinds of things can you find in the DLG? We've got digitized books, manuscripts, photographs, government documents, newspapers, maps, audio, video, and so much more. We've got over 1 million digital objects available through our portals, in over 1,200 different collections from about 170 institutions and government agencies. So in addition to the wide variety of types of materials, we also cover a wide range of topics and time periods. And so I'm going to give you some examples of what we've got. So if you're interested in the Revolutionary and Early Republic period, you can find the records of St. Paul's Episcopal Church in Augusta, which is one of the oldest in the state. If you're interested in the antebellum period, we have coverage of relations between the early government and the native people of Georgia. If you're interested in Civil War and Reconstruction, you can find documentation of the Confederate troops through diaries and correspondence of soldiers, as well as military records. If you're interested in the 20th century, we have materials related to the Progressive era, such as minutes from women's clubs for the period of time covering World War II. As Ed mentioned, we have materials related to the Bell Aircraft Factory. And if you're interested in the 20th century, we have records of Atlanta mayors Sam Massel and Maynard Jackson. So let's talk a little bit about how the websites function. So both the Digital Library of Georgia, or Georgia Portal website, and the Civil Rights Digital Library function in the same way. So in the examples, what you'll see is the Georgia Portal, but you can use the same functions and methods in the Civil Rights Digital Library. So we're going to start out with searching. So as I said, both of these sites offer a couple of different ways that users can access content. There's robust searching of item descriptions, and you can perform a basic search using the search box at the top of the site. But if you are like me and you prefer more precise searching, I do not want to be wading through result after result. I am a big fan of our advanced search. So I'm going to start off by searching for baseball using the basic search. And when I do that, I get a results list like this. On the left, you'll see facets, and those facets allow you to further limit your search results. So let's say that I am super interested in baseball cards. And if I choose under the medium facet baseball cards, I will get the 900 baseball cards that are found in the Digital Library of Georgia. And then if you click on either the title or the thumbnail, you'll get a item record. The item record includes an item description, a link to the digital object, and several different tools that you can use that allow you to either email the record. In cases where we have a larger size image, you're able to embed the viewer as you can, as with this example. There's citation information and then some generic reuse information. So as I said, I'm a big fan of the advanced search, and it allows for, so both the CRDL and the Digital Library of Georgia allow you to do complex searching using any or all of the terms that are found. So you can enter keywords or phrases in the fields on the left, and then you can select limiters or attributes on the right. You can, as I said, you can also use pluses and minuses, and you can find out more about different search tips by clicking on the search tip box, which you'll see here. So for our purposes, I am really interested in finding information about Brunswick within DLG, but I am not at all interested in finding Brunswick stew. So I'm going to put Brunswick minus stew into my search, and these are the results that I get. Again, you can further refine your results by using the facets on the left, and you access the images or descriptions in the same way. So in addition to searching, there are a number of ways that you can browse our collections. You can browse by collections. You can browse by county. You can browse materials that are licensed for reuse. And then you can search on, you can also look at the different institutions that hold materials. And you can also access a couple of other ways to browse. One is a map browse and a county browse. So if we browse collections, there are a couple of extra facets that show up. Our collections are can be organized by broad topic categories, and these corresponded to old topical categories that were in the New Georgia Encyclopedia, or by time periods. And again, these time periods reflect the organization of the New Georgia Encyclopedia in the past. As you all know, Georgia is very proud of its counties, and so we make sure that our users can quickly access all the materials from their own county. So if I were to click on Augusta on this map, the county of Richmond County, what would come up is a little pop-up here, and that would allow me to view all of the records just from Richmond County. If you're not great at county geography, you can also use the A to Z list. And if you're curious about which are the most popular which counties have the most materials in DLG, you can choose the sort by count. As educators, you're probably very interested in being able to use images and historic sources in the classroom. And so we've allowed you from the homepage to search for stuff that can be reused for educational purposes or for non-commercial purposes or materials that are freely available to use. So you can see these are the rights statements in the facet that allow you to pull up materials for reuse. You can also browse by institution. For example, let's say that you're interested in having your students use materials from your local library. So in my case, it would be at the Athens Clarke County Library. By clicking on the Athens Clarke County Library, I can see a list of the different collections that are available through the Athens Clarke County Public Library, but I can access all of the items, not broken up into collections. I can find out more information about the institution, like its location and hours, by clicking on more about this institution, and then I can also link out to their homepage. So now that we've sort of gone over the basic features of both the Civil Rights Digital Library and the Georgia Portal, I am going to talk to you a little bit about what is by far the Digital Library of Georgia's most popular website, and that is our Georgia Historic Newspaper site. So currently it includes over 3.2 million searchable pages of Georgia newspapers. There are over 980 titles from over 100 cities. It's freely available to the public. That said, the majority of holdings are from before 1928, but recently we have begun to add more current newspapers as we stop microfilming current papers. There are a variety of search options, from the most basic keyword searches to more advanced searching using a lot of different parameters. We also have little help videos that will teach you how to navigate and use the site, and you can find that under the help. The site uses optical character recognition software to identify and locate words on the page. When you conduct the searching, the results of your query will appear on the page that loads. You'll also be able to see your search terms highlighted on the thumbnail results, as well as in the full view of the image that you select. The highlighting makes it much easier for you to find the search term. If you are curious, you can click on the view page text to see the computer generated OCR, which, depending on the quality of the original image, the OCR quality can vary. So to perform a keyword search, you're going to put it in this box here, and you'll hit the little search. If you want to do more specific searches, you'll select the search tab that's at the top of the home page, and it'll direct you to the advanced search page. And the options will also allow you to limit by keyword, city, county, type, region, newspaper title, and date. And you can also use word proxy. You can also indicate how close two words might be together. So if you're searching for a person's name, first name and last name, it might make sense to have it search within 2 words rather than like 10 words apart, because you could be getting 2 different people's names. Another way to access the papers is by browsing, and we offer regional browsing. This was something that prior to Georgia Historic Newspapers, we had various separate websites for different regions and different cities. So this regional browse allows you to interact in somewhat similar way to those separate sites. You can also choose to browse by title. This is by clicking on browse by title, and it will give you information about what the first issue that's available is and what the last issue is available, and then how many issues for that particular title are available. You can also click on the small little calendar here, and it will allow you to browse by date. Here's an example of what that browse by date from the drop-down menu might would look like. And you can also choose a particular year from this drop-down here. So if I wanted to see all of the available, all of the dates that we have newspapers for from 1763 that are digitized and available through Georgia Historic Newspapers, I would put 1763 in this drop down here. You can also choose to browse by city. It is an alphabetical list. And then you can search from, you can also browse by type. There are a number of different types of newspapers you can take a look at. They include school newspapers, LGBTQ papers, papers of records, community papers, African American papers, religious ones, and Native American ones. And just to let you know, what a paper of record is defined as a paper for which the paper that legal notices must go in for a county or for a county, particular county. So those can be very important to search for, search only. Okay, you can also, once you search and you get to the page that you'd like, you can zoom in and out. And then you can use the clip visible area button to clip, and you can either save or print what you've clipped. So there are a few searching tips for using Georgia Historic Newspapers. You want to be creative about your search terms. You want to compensate for common misspellings or incorrect OCR. Often OCR will see the letter C when it's actually a letter O. So be creative about your terms. You also want to consider the language that was used during the time period you're searching for. So, for example, if you are looking for people who are materials about the people with mental illness, you might, during the turn of the 20th century or earlier, you might use the term feeble-minded instead. First names are often abbreviated in the 19th century papers, like WM for William, JAS for James. And during that same period, they used first and middle initials rather than spelling out people's names. And it's always a great idea to use exclusion words to help narrow your search results. So now that we've done our whirlwind tour of Georgia historic newspapers, I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the special things that we have available for teachers. So if you're on the Georgia portal and you click on the Teach on the nav bar, you'll see a number of resources specifically for teachers. These include our educator resources subsite, some information about resources for National History Day that Galileo has pulled together, links to the New Georgia Encyclopedia, a link to a collaborative site that DLG and the New Georgia Encyclopedia did of Georgia exhibits, some information about how you're allowed to use materials you find in the DLG or the CRDL, and then again, that browse of reusable materials. So on our educator pages, you can find a number of different materials. So it is broken up by grade, and you can find link lists, and you can also find standards aligned free posters that you can download. If you have students who are involved in National History Day, they can also access Galileo's National History Day resources guide that covers what kinds of encyclopedias, licensed resources are available through Galileo, primary resources, and then some other materials that would be helpful for either teachers or students who are involved in National History Day, Georgia. As I mentioned, in the past couple of years, we partnered with the New Georgia Encyclopedia to create an online exhibit site. We are gradually adding more content to it. We're up to about 7, I believe now. Each exhibit is broken up into themes with sub-themes, and each of the sub-themes will lead you to digitize materials that have come from the Digital Library of Georgia. One of our forthcoming efforts is some primary source sets. We're just getting started with that, but they will include topic overviews, a teacher's guide, some tools for doing primary source analysis, and then some additional resources. Okay, so we've still got a few minutes for questions. Anybody have any questions, comments? Well, if we don't have any questions, I'd like to thank you all for being here and wish you all a good day. Thank you.